My yaya used to say all the time, everyone has a story. Just like that. And she's right. That's the truth. Everyone does have a story. And the ones I want to hear and learn from are the discoveries of self and those journeys. So I invite you. My name is Sophia. Welcome to Soul Journey Talk. Hello, beautiful souls. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Sophia, and this is Soul Journey Talk. And I am here with one of my very best friends and soul sisters, Vivian Torres. And today is our first taping. I'm super excited. And the whole goal of this podcast video is to just have conversation on the self-discovery or the discovery of self. So I'm going to ask one question, and from that question, will determine our conversation. And so, again, welcome, Vivi.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Yay, me too. And so we're in our backyard, in my backyard. And so we're here, and you're going to see cats, and you're going to see probably other wildlife maybe floating around. But my whole idea was to be in Mother Nature, where we can feel the energy of Mother Nature and feel natural and feel comfortable. And I know that both of us love Mother Nature so much. Yes. So Vivi is actually a professional violist and viola teacher, as well as violin. And she is also a certified Alexander Technique technician. And I've known Vivi for many, many years. And so I feel that this is very appropriate for me to have you here as my first guest.
Yeah.
And to talk about, your journey. So this is my question. What has been your soul journey that has led you to this moment in time in your life?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What has been your soul journey that has led you to this moment in time in your life?
A lot of things.
Yes, that's what this is about.
That's not a one answer question.
No, it's not a one answer question. No.
Yeah.
So how. When was the first time? Well, first of all, let me ask you this: do you believe that you have a soul?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty. Great. Like I do.
Yeah.
And so when was the first time that you discovered that?
That I started believing or just knew?
That you knew.
That I had a soul?
Mm-hmm.
I think because I was raised, Roman Catholic and went to church on Sundays and then also did communion and everything. I guess I pretty much have believed that I had a soul as long as I can remember. But my idea of what a soul was changed over time. I think it started shifting when I went to high school and I met some of my friends that I still have today who had different views on religion and spirituality. And then that started making me, question. And then I think by the time I was in college, I don't know when it happened, but I believed that the soul lives many lives. And that's very different from Roman Catholicism belief.
Yes.
So, yes, I do believe that I do have a soul, and my idea of what a soul is has changed and transformed as I've gotten older. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That actually is the same with me.
Yeah.
Born and raised Greek Orthodox.
Ah.
So the same experience, actually. Yes. I was told that, we're made by God and certain belief systems, but we're born with original sin. And I always question that. Well, how is it if God made me? Why am I then born with sin?
I remember this when I first met you.
Yeah.
when I was 18. you were still in that belief system.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I questioned that all the time.
Yeah.
That was my one thing that never sat well with me.
Yeah.
And why do I need to be saved if God made me? And it was actually like in my 30s when I had my walk, my spiritual awakening happening. Okay. And leading to, I pray, spiritual enlightenment. I think that changes too. But like you, I also believe that we live again and again and again, that we come back again and again and again. So I do believe in past lives, and I do believe that the soul is the same soul but different bodies. And what brought you to that realization?
I think because, earlier on, it just made more sense to me because so many people were born so differently. If we all started from scratch, all the same, we would all be the same. And for me, that made sense. And then I started reading Brian Weiss's books, Many Lives, Many Masters, Past Lives, Future Lives. I don't remember all the titles, but that was amazing. And then I went to a workshop with you.
Yes, we did. We
did a workshop to one of Brian Weiss's workshops in Miami Beach, and he led us in a regression. And I remember in the regression, I looked down and I saw that my feet were not my feet. They were someone else's feet.
I remember that, yeah.
And then I've also done.
What did they look like to you? Do you remember?
It was a man. It was like a boy. It seemed like it was kind of like someone that was barefoot and was very much comfortable being barefoot. It gave me an impression of maybe, I don't know, Native American or something.
Okay.
And that was one incident. And then the other incident was, or the other time that kind of really made me solidify this belief was I was working with a kind of a healer, and we would work on certain things, and then I started getting memories or dreams of me being other people, and it was crazy. I was like, what is this? And so, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, totally. We're both in that aspect. We are both totally on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And Dr. Brian Weiss was introduced to me shortly after the spiritual door opened for me of my awakening. And the first book I read was Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
And what I love about towards the end of the book, I believe it's in this book. If it's not, it's in Through Time, Healing Through Time, something like that, where he states that no matter what belief system you are following, no matter what religion or belief system you're following, everybody basically believes the same thing: be a good person, love and forgive. And that's really our purpose here in life. So, and that definitely resonated with me very much so. And so that actually changed my life. That book changed my life.
Yeah. I remember when you read it. I remember.
Yeah. So, did you read that book before me, or I think you also saw Dr. Weiss at the Miami Book Fair years before we went to that, like a couple years or so before. I remember that. Maybe, yeah. And I also remember actually that you told me that when you had, I don't know if it was in that same regression conference that we went to in Miami Beach or Fort Lauderdale or something like that. You also saw like feet from Roman time.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay, yeah, something like that. That's what I remember, and yeah. But I mean, many lives, So what has been your journey since in that moment? So now you've realized this is really what resonates with me. This is what I believe in, and I know the healer that you speak of. She's beautiful and wonderful.
Yeah, she's really great.
Yeah, and I know that she helped you a lot. Yeah, through your journey. Yeah. And so what what are the things that you did to help you like understand yourself more and really discover yourself more? And 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 what do you think about that journey?
It was a lot of just feeling lost a lot.
Yeah. I understand that.
You just, I guess I've always considered or saw myself as a little like on the sensitive side in general.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think just learning how to deal with myself and like how to take care of myself is
How did you do that?
Well, I'm still doing it. I mean, it's definitely a growing, it's an ongoing journey. I think that'll never
ends.
That'll never end. It's like, we all have our issues and everything. And
Yep.
I was very fortunate to meet a lot of people throughout my life that were there at the right time that I needed, that have helped me so much.
That's
I remember,
That's beautiful.
I remember that I was at FIU and there was this wave spa, and the owner, I was there because I was dealing with a lot of pain, being a musician, and I was dealing with a lot of physical pain, and I went to go get a massage, but then I also saw that they had like energy work or like some type of like healing stuff, and I was like, I had no idea what any of that was.
Okay.
I don't know, I was like maybe 19, 20 most, and it was like talking about emotional, spiritual, and I don't know what led me to it, but I think I've always kind of been a spiritual seeker in my own way, and always very curious as to what life is, the mysteries of life. It's just, it's just something that I'm always thinking about. And so that piqued my interest. Okay. And so I signed up for Brennan healing. So
I remember you telling me about
Brennan
this. Yes.
Healing.
Yes.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I went in and it was mind blowing. It was just like this crazy experience where I was laying down and this person was not making any type of physical contact with his hands on my body. But I remember I would like at moments look down because I could feel something like moving in my body, and I was like looking to see if something was there, but there was nothing there. I could feel like there was like a wheel turning.
Wow.
And I had no idea what that was. And he was telling me, oh, those are like, those are your chakras, and we're just activating them. That's why you're feeling them. And I remember very vividly feeling one in my abdomen and one in my between my eyes.
The third eye.
The third eye.
They call the third eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really like that moment was a big awakening for me and helped me so much. And that continue again. I kept meeting certain people that made me want to keep asking that question and want to know more. And I forgot your question already, but I don't know why I said that.
Well, I believe if I remember, like you, I'm in the moment here. And that's what this is about, is being in the moment. I think I asked you, like, what steps did you take for your self-discovery? And then what, like, oh my God, what was that second question? And what did you, like, and how did you get there,
Okay, yes. So my steps to self-discovery, I was always very, like I said, very a sensitive type, very curious, and I was always very drawn to the arts.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in fifth grade, I was very drawn to, there was a magnet program, and I started music, and I loved it. Like, I just couldn't put it down. And I feel like that was a way of me learning about myself, was through music. And
music is magic. Okay.
Music is magic. Yes. Music is magic.
Yes.
And I feel like that definitely attuned me to be very sensitive in certain ways, because music is, it's something that is not tangible,
Mm-hmm.
and I just loved it so much. And I think that was really the catalyst to where I am today.
Okay.
And the journey with music has had all types of twists and turns that has ultimately led me to where I am today.
So I want to, that's beautiful. I want to go back though to the Brennan healing.
Yeah.
Because I think that, I know that we had a conversation actually not too long ago about this, and I never knew about that with you. And, but I had already asked you to be my guest, and like, for a while now.
Right.
So you had this experience,
mm-hmm.
and then what happened afterwards?
You mean what happened after the experience?
After the experience of the Brennan healing, like, did it open up something for you? Did you end up having like dreams or visions? Or I know that you said that it led you to the people that like were put in your path in order for you to continue your healing. But what I feel like that is such a significant moment in self-discovery for you.
Yeah.
Music is the first, I guess, or
mm-hmm.
I would say, or the questioning
first.
the religion, and then music.
Music was first because I started it in 5th grade.
Right. Yeah.
And then meeting other people that were of different beliefs
mm-hmm.
in high school started making me want to search all these different types of philosophies and theosophy and learn about all types of, religions, and just realize how varied everything was. And so I was very much into all that when I was in high school.
Yeah. In fact, I know Vivi's, a lot of her high school friends, and I have to say they're all beautiful people, beautiful souls, all very different. And I'm happy for you that you have that community from high school till today.
Yeah.
I mean,
very lucky.
We're not 19 anymore.
Right. Yeah, definitely not.
So, actually, that I'm always happy about that when I think of you and that, and have you having your friends in your community, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I want to tell you that all the time. Like, every time I see your friends, I'm like, it's so beautiful that you had these friends for all these years, and that's they're part of your journey.
Yes.
Even if they only planted seeds from
mm-hmm.
high school,
mm-hmm.
but those seeds have multiplied and blossomed because of them. And so I think it's a beautiful thing when you have friends who have withstood the test of time with you, and have grown with you, and have accepted you and loved you as you are, and also make you question things, and make you, sometimes it's good to be made uncomfortable for you to find yourself. So did they do that for you?
Yes, they did. In a good way.
Obviously in a good way, not in a bad way.
Yes.
To like make you go inside yourself.
Right.
But in a good way that makes you kind of go, okay, I'm going to hide over here for a minute and be like, what was that? What was that? What is that feeling? Why did they make me feel uncomfortable? Why did they make me feel uncomfortable? But then in a good way that makes you question things to mm-hmm. help you to go, oh, okay, so now this is, maybe these dots are starting to mm-hmm. click and connect,
mm-hmm.
And so
I definitely, and you are one of them. I've known you for a long time, so you've definitely helped me grow as a person.
I love you so much too. That means a lot to me to hear my cup runneth over. As a friend, as a soul sister, as a teacher, as a just a being in your life. So that means a lot. So it's, we can actually divert conversation right now, and I can tell you a story about how we met. So we met at Musicians Discount Center. We were both teachers there, and I'd already been teaching there for, I think, like 2.5 years or something like that. And there was this one lady besides me that was teaching there, and then she left. And then there was just me and all these male teachers. And then the staff was full of males and men, and then one woman that was managing. And I was like, teaching in the back over there where the rooms were, is like lonely, you're the only girl there. And then Vivi starts, and I was just like, I don't know if it was the same day or like in the same week.
Uh-huh.
I literally peeked into your, I still remember, peeked into your room and it was like, hi, my name is Sophia. I'm so glad that you're teaching here. Oh my God, if you need anything, let me know.
I remember that.
And you must have thought I was some crazy lady.
I was, fresh out of high school. That was my first like teaching job or music job.
Yeah, that's actually my first music job.
Yeah.
My first professional music job too. Yeah.
That's
it just took me a few years later after you to get there, you know, so.
Yeah, that job really helped me realize how much I love to teach.
Yeah.
So.
Same here.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I could. I didn't think that I would like it. But I wanted to go back to music because I had been away from it for so long.
Right.
And, but I know that the divine God put me there because you're the best thing that ever came out of that.
Aw.
You know,
good old, good times back then.
Yes, good old times. Yeah.
But going back to the Brennan healing, I think that really helped me think on a bigger scale, or actually have an experience of all these things I had been reading about. So I feel like that was like a tangible experience that made all these things that I was researching and understanding religion and spirituality and my concept of what is happening, it broadened it, and it gave me a physical experience. And I think from my journey, I've learned that I learn things through embodiment. And I think that started that day.
Okay.
Yeah, that really started that day. And being a musician, you know, you play music, you're using your body, but for so many years, like I didn't really see music as a whole body experience. I was very much in my head, you know, and again, that's where we're going, but in this conversation. But I feel like that was a key experience for me, and just how powerful having that physical experience to connect all these things and theories and ideas that I was just, you know, learning about as I was, you know, growing up.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so is there anything, like what happened next after the Brennan? So it kind of like connected the dots for you and all the books that you were reading about and connecting everything. What was the next significant thing then after that for you? Because that happened when you were in college. And I remember that you were going through the pain and you know, and you were, I mean, you have a bachelor's, is it music or fine arts degree?
Music performance
in viola.
Yes.
And you also, this woman sitting over here in front of me has 2 masters. What are those in?
Music performance.
Yeah. One from FIU and one from the University of Miami, correct?
I have an artist diploma. It's a graduate certificate.
There you
go. It's still a graduate degree.
Okay.
Where you just perform.
Okay, that's beautiful. And I remember going to all of the recitals that I could possibly go to. All beautiful and wonderful. And so I have actually, one of the reasons why I really wanted you to be my first guest too is because obviously we have a wonderful connection, and it's been such a beautiful blessing and journey and an honor really to watch you grow into the woman that you are today, you know, and see you go through all the things that you went through. And so for me, it's kind of a comfort having you here because you're someone that I really know very well. Yeah. And also that I know you feel comfortable talking to me and trusting me.
Yeah.
So I have to say that, you know, before, I don't want to forget to say that it's really been an honor and a blessing to watch you like grow.
have many lives within this life. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It does. Even though we both are on the same like level of belief that we've been here again and again and again, or maybe in different dimensions and all of that. And but really it really does feel like I've lived many different lives in this life because of all the obstacles or the pains and hurts or the roller coaster rides that, you know, we go through in this one life. Does feel like sometimes, you know, that it's crazy, you know. Yeah,
you keep changing as a person.
Yes.
You know, like
we're supposed to do, right?
Right. Yeah.
So have some of those changes been easy? And have some of those, obviously, some of those changes have been hard.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of both. It's been a both, you know, like I said, I think my first thing that has come to my life to help me learn about myself was learning music, was starting to learn music. And that journey has changed and evolved a lot. And I think after having that Brennan healing experience of like, there's more than just this physical body, like there's something else that's there, because I felt something and I felt so different afterwards. Like it was a very emotional, you know, I cried and I had memories of things that I was letting go as this feeling of the chakras, I guess, or your different energy levels.
Right. Yeah.
And I felt immediately lighter, you know, it was like, wow. And I did that a few times, actually. I kept going and I was very curious. I would ask a lot of questions. I always ask a lot of questions.
I love that about you.
And, you know, the person that was working with me was very kind to share his own experience of, you know, how he found the Brennan healing and everything. And so I started seeing, you know, wanting to learn more about that. And that's how I met the other healer that we both know, and started doing work with her. And then after that, I was also experiencing a lot of injury and pain. And I think that was one of the reasons why I also went to get some energy work, because I didn't understand why that was happening to me. And I would ask a lot of questions to my teachers and doctors, and no one really knew what was causing it. And so that also made me, maybe it was an emotional level that was manifesting, and, you know, this whole mind-body thing, again, that was very new to me. And
mind, body, and soul connection.
The mind, body, and soul, or energy, like that was all. And I think that was just, well, I didn't have anything else, you know, to lose. So I tried the healing, you know, I tried the energy work as a way to, and I could feel that it was definitely making changes in myself.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can honestly say that I've seen that, in you. And there's something that you do. Of course, I don't want to say what it is. I want to see if you say, what is the one tool that you go to do to help you get you back to you?
You don't want me to say what I do?
No, I don't want to say it.
Okay.
But I'm curious to see if you're going to say, if I'm thinking the same thing as what you're about to say. You always tell me that if you do this one thing, that it helps you.
Oh my gosh, just one thing?
Well,
I mean, there's definitely slowing down, I would say. Definitely slowing down. And I do a lot of journaling.
That's it. The one thing that Miss Sophia here is.
I think because I'm the type of person that doesn't really express very easily what is on my mind to the general public.
Yes.
You know, unless you really know me, then I will open up. But I feel more comfortable just kind of free thought and just writing and just letting it go wherever it goes.
Yeah.
And it really helps me get out of my head or release things that are, you know, trying to bubble up to my consciousness.
Yes, yes.
It just helps me stay sane. And that's something actually I have been doing. I actually found a journal recently of my writing since I was in middle school. Like I think it was very close to when I started playing music. I started writing. So they both kind of
that is amazing.
Went together.
That's amazing. So music and journaling has been your, like, the beginning stages of your path in this world, in this life, in this, in like healing and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I used to write little stories.
You did?
Like when I was really little.
Wow.
Like once upon a time there was a princess. You know me and my historical romance
I did
novels.
poetry. I was obsessed. Well, I still am obsessed with fantasy and dragons and everything. And I would write poetry or just write about all these different fantasy creatures, and
that is too cool.
That was my escape.
I wrote poetry too. I would love it when like I actually, even though I'm Greek Orthodox, I was raised in a Catholic church, in a Catholic school with the church, and going to Catholic church with the students, all the time. But the one thing that they did that when I was like in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade or something like that, we would write poems for like some type of fair or some type of thing. And I really loved doing that. And so that led for me to go into like song lyric writing.
Oh,
so I'm always doing something either on my phone or writing it down. And so what was it like finding recently, like, I mean, you've gone through a lot, obviously it's if you're comfortable to say how old you are.
Yeah,
how old are you?
I'm 39.
39. To me, you always look like you're 28. For real. So at 39, here you are at 39, and you're reading something that you were, let's say 6th grade is what, like 11 or 12 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about over 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
So what was interesting, if you can share with us, with, it's just me right now on the phone, but, with the world, like what is the one or two things that you can maybe feel comfortable sharing, what you read from those journals from 6th grade that made you go, oh my gosh, and maybe like helped you to see how far you've come in this life, if something is the same, like if you find anything that is still consistent.
Well, I was definitely writing about, again, like I said, fantasy creatures. But then I remember I wrote about, I was very poetic in my wording. I remember.
I love that.
I was writing about pieces of the floor or tiles of the floor that looked like liquid gold. And I remember I was like so impressed by reading my middle school self writing so poetically, because I was very much into reading, so I think that helped with my vocabulary a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I was just I wanted to write something kind of like what I was reading about, and something fantastical.
I love
and
this.
I was writing about like the ground having stones like liquid gold, and walking through that. I was just like, wow, that's me.
I love that.
Yeah.
And some spiritualists say that when we're kids, we're actually very open to like our higher self and our soul, and we're like I also follow Abraham Hicks. So the saying is tapped in, turned on, or I can't think of it right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. But tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. So it's tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. And so it's like when we're kids, though, we are more open to that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think in the creativity, that's why I love the arts. I think it's so important in this world.
Yes.
If I didn't say before, I teach piano and voice, and I've also teach Middle Eastern style dance and flamenco. And so for me, of course, the performing arts is something
it's so important.
It's part of human nature, I think.
Yes, and I think it helps one develop an awareness of, something more than yourself in the world. It's just like it taps into the subtleties of life. And I think the older I get, the more I realize that it's so important to come back to those things that really inspired you as a kid. And like, thankfully, and I'm very grateful that like I can still play music.
Yes.
And that I can still write. And I've recently gotten back into reading fantasy books. I was like super obsessed with them when I was in middle school and high school. And then it was like, I think like a bunch of people, this is like a whole phenomenon right now.
Yeah.
And then I started reading again a year ago, and it's just been like so fun. And it's just like, takes me back to that childlike love that I had.
Yeah, your guilty pleasures when you were a kid. So
Yeah.
mine is historical romance novels. As
Yes.
I know you know that. And you actually turned me on to a fantasy romance. And I am totally enjoying book 2 of the ACOTAR series, A Court of Throne and Roses series. That's just, oh my gosh, I'm in Mist and Fury right now, and I had to stop it to prepare for this, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just, I've been enjoying it. I forgot how much
Great.
I really enjoyed reading.
Yeah, no,
You
it's
know,
so important.
Back in the fall, I actually went and visited my sister in Brooklyn, and they took me to a bookstore called The Ripped Bodice.
Nice.
You heard that correctly. It's called The Ripped Bodice. It's an awesome store. And I bought 6 books, and I only read 1 out of that stack. And then you gave me this beautiful gift on Christmas, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to read this. And, oh no, I'm like scarfing it.
Scarfing it's so good.
And just to be able to sit and read this, that's a gift to self. That is self-care.
Yeah,
so that
really is.
That really is.
Yeah, it helps calm me. I notice a big difference when I'm reading and when I'm not reading regularly. That it just really helps clear my mind. So
it does. Yeah, because it brings you back to yourself, because you're doing something that brings you joy. And I say this a lot: joy is the secret ingredient.
Yes,
joy really is the secret ingredient. And so, with that, we feel better, even if we're sick. With joy, we feel stronger. With joy, we feel healthier. With joy, we feel more peace, actually.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we can feel like we're floating up in the air, like we're all the way over here. But at the same time, we can also feel grounded. You know, depending on where you're at in your state of what vibrational level, energetic level that you're in.
And I think learning and discovering what those totems are for you and for anybody in their own personal lives, like knowing what those things are and having them accessible so that you can always use them to bring yourself back to you is really important. Again, it's always like, you know, sometimes we always get lost with how life is going, and it's like, what is something that gives you that childlike joy and love and, you know, brings you back to yourself. And it depends on the person. You know, everyone's different.
So for me, it was reading historical romance novels and music. Loved music. Loved music. Yes. So I am older than you. I'm 53. And so back in my time, there were no magnet schools. I think New World had just opened up, and I found out about it, I think either in my sophomore or junior year. And I was like, well, I can't do that. So, you know, but my journey in music has been healing. My journey in music has been a facilitator of my healing journey. As a person, as a human, as a soul, and all of that. So
you were born to be on the stage, Sophia. You know, if anybody doesn't know, Sophia is a natural performer.
Thank you, Vivi.
That's what you're meant to do on this planet.
Yeah, I'm keeping it really low key here.
I know you are.
Because it's about you, it's not about me, you know. So I've always wanted to have conversations with people about their journeys and stuff. And so so this is why I say this is just so beautiful. Like, this is actually happening, even with my cat going in and out of the frame and everything. And just everything that we're talking about. And I just thank you so much for being so open.
Of course.
And there's still more to talk about. So I think that is wonderful. And I have to thank you for bringing this novel into my life.
Oh, okay. The ACOTAR series.
The ACOTAR series, because I've never really read fantasy.
Yeah.
I love watching it.
Right.
I love, like, of course, I love visual, and I love you know, all of those.
But reading it,
But reading it, this is the first time that I've been able to read. You know? So Sarah J. Maas is like 5 stars.
Yeah, she's good.
You know, like, and like to the million. And so it's been really beautiful. And so it makes me think about, like, learning that I didn't know that you wrote poetry.
Yes, I did at a very young age.
And I would write song lyrics.
Oh, cool.
You know, or like little snippets of like a stanza of poems. And actually, when I moved into this house, whatever I was able to like salvage from childhood and Hurricane Andrew and all of that, I like found like a scrap of paper here and a thing of there, and it's all somewhere in storage, but so it's like discovering like when you were young, like, and it's oh my God, I wrote that, like, wow. And so I still having this image of the floor is a stone of like melted gold.
Yeah, and amber liquid. That's what I wrote.
Amber liquid. That's just
liquid. Yeah,
I'm gonna have this vision for a while, actually. So I love that. And so what? I mean, I know what your journey has been, but from the Brennan healing and then the healer that you found that that really helped you in journaling. Yeah. So was there anything else like from the 6th grade journals or a little older that are parallel with today in your journaling? What have you, are you as poetic today in your journalism as you were back then?
No, not as poetic and not anymore. I found other ways of expressing myself. I still journal. I still do a lot of free writing, free thought.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, I try not to think about it or plan it, and I just write, and then ideas and thoughts or whatever comes out of it. But I try not to have any expectations, because then I start trying to change it into something that maybe was not supposed to be.
Right.
So
I understand.
I just free write a lot. Other things that I've started doing is more movement. And
what led you to that?
Yeah, what led me to the movement?
Yes.
Well, throughout high school, I would say throughout high school, through college, I started experiencing a lot of physical pain.
Yes.
And I think I wanted to understand, always being the seeker that I am, knowledge seeker, is that I wanted to understand what was happening to me. And no one could answer me that. Being a musician, your hands and your body is what makes the music.
Important. Yes.
And that was really all that I knew. I didn't want to give up on that. And even though I started experiencing pain at the age of 16, and I was at a really great school with top-notch teachers, and I would ask my teacher, like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I experiencing pain? And he couldn't tell me. He couldn't tell me why. And
that must have been frustrating.
That must
have been very frustrating for you.
Yeah, that was very.
I mean, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Like, yeah. Because I remember those days, and I wish that I had the answers for you, to be honest with you, because I love you so much. And it hurt me that nobody could. I felt hurt for you, that you couldn't find the answers.
Yeah.
And but what led you to find the answers?
Well, I think it was feeling that I would go to doctors and they wouldn't really tell me something was really wrong. Sometimes there was no tangible injury. And then with my experience with Brennan healing and realizing how much other aspects of the body exist.
Yeah.
And memories that came out of that experience was like, wow, maybe this is an emotional thing. Maybe there is things that I'm with, holding, and my body is manifesting. Again, all that was new to me, this idea of mind impacting body. And so that again kept me questioning, kept me searching, and I was doing a lot of different types of therapies and treatments like chiropractics, acupuncture, acupressure, massage, cupping, physical therapy, and I did that all throughout my starting in high school. I started doing it because I needed something to help me keep playing.
Yeah.
And then I continued on through college. And again, I didn't want to give up on music.
Right.
I didn't want to give up on music. And I was very angry at myself. I was very angry at my body, feeling so limited and not understanding why. And that built a lot of emotional turmoil in myself, a lot of insecurity, a lot of anxiety, you know, and I understood that stuff, that was proof for myself, like how much all of this was impacting my whole self, you know? And so I would say I reached, what is it when you reach the bottom, the ground, when you reach,
when you hit rock bottom.
When I hit rock bottom, I was still, you know, dealing with a lot of pain as I was studying music at the university, but I hit it very well, and I persisted and pushed, and I got to the point where I couldn't use my arms anymore.
I remember.
I couldn't even brush my hair. I remember asking my mom to brush and wash my hair because my hands were so weak, and I only wanted to use them to play. And so then I finished my master's. And then I got in.
How did that make you feel that you had to ask your mom?
No, definitely.
To, you know, like, let's just take a moment there. You said something that was very, very, like, that hit me. Like, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I knew that you were going through a rough time, but I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, wow. I was a mess, really. But like I said, you know, in the classical world, being a musician, being in music school, there's this persona or stereotype that, like, perfection is so important.
Yes.
You know, push hard, you know, work harder to get the results.
Yeah.
And, like, the idea of sharing that you're in pain was not, it's taboo. And even today, it still is taboo in the classical world. And so I did my best to hide it.
This is true.
Yeah. And this is where my mission comes in.
Yes.
Where I feel like I was brought to this life to do.
Yes.
Which was to change that.
Yes. I am like you in that. Yes. Because there is no such thing as perfection.
Right.
I think it has to just feel right.
Right.
And I think that especially in the performing arts, it is a constant discovery. It is not to be perfected because everything is always changing.
Right.
Right. Just like you said, you're not the same person that you were when you were young. Or
Exactly.
When you first started out as an adult, you know?
Yes.
And so we change as we grow, and hopefully for the better. And so, yes, like you, I am an advocate for that, and that has to be changed.
It has to. I mean,
that mental and emotional and psychological pushing of trying to train someone to be perfect will, like, have an effect on the body.
Oh, yeah.
And everything will just fall down and fall apart.
And I think now, looking back, you know, I think I had to go through that. I had to experience
the for me, not the to me.
Right.
Like, this happened for you, not to you.
But while that was happening, I was so frustrated. I was so angry at the world and just, of course, life. And I just didn't understand why this was happening. Why me? Why was I born this way? Why am I so weak? You know, it's like all these thoughts. Like, I was just,
you're one of the strongest people I know.
You know, it's just, if it was.
Oh my.
And you're
one of the strongest people I know, even from back then. You know.
Thank you, Sophia.
Yeah, really.
You are strong too.
So, mwah.
But
yes,
it was,
we have little gnats following us now.
So I hit rock bottom in 2014. I always remember that. 2014, I got accepted into the University of Miami to do my artist diploma. I played for my audition. I got in, you know, and then I think a couple months after that, I had really severely injured my wrist. And I don't even know what I did. That's how unaware I was of my body.
I'm sure it was not playing. Just like I have injured myself. It has nothing to do with your craft or your art form.
Well, every time I would pick up my instrument, then I noticed this pain in my wrist. And then I also got a full ride scholarship to study in Italy at a music festival. And it was so hard for me to tell them that I was in pain and I could not do it. And they had raised all this money for me to go. And that was so, so hard. And I couldn't even pick up my instrument to teach or play or make money. And that was a very critical part of my life where I didn't know what I was going to do, because music was everything.
Because by then I think you were like living on your own, paying your bills, and so it's like you're going to school, you're working, you're you know, you got to put food on your little table, you got to pay for your electricity, you got to do, you know, and so I'm sure it was very
that was
like not
really rough,
frightening and a crumbling maybe experience to be like that, to be feeling like trapped. You probably felt trapped in your body because you couldn't figure out what was going on.
Right.
And here you were now with another issue.
Yeah, and at that time I was doing a lot of different therapies and none of them were giving me results anymore. Like I was doing chiropractics 3 times a week, doing massage, doing physical therapy, and
again and again.
The amount of help it was giving me was less and less and less and less. And I didn't know what else to do. And so I went online and just typed other types of treatments or therapies and that I could do so I wouldn't lose my career.
Right.
And that's how I found the Alexander technique.
And she thought we were only going to talk about that. And I was like, no. Because this is so important to just like do a review, you know? That's why I wanted to really talk with you, like have this conversation. So I know that Alexander technique has been something that has been wonderful, and it opened up a beautiful door for you.
Yes.
And so please share with us this experience now. Yes.
Yeah.
So you looked up online and you found somebody.
Yeah. At that time, I had been wearing a brace on my wrist for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I had to defer for a year. And I didn't go to the festival. And so I was online and I typed other types of, you know, therapies or treatments, and Alexander technique came up. And there was only one teacher or one person that did Alexander technique in Miami. And so I was like, well, nothing else I could do, right? There's no, you know, what do I have to lose, right?
Right, yeah. No,
so
nothing.
I went and I had my first lesson or first session.
Right.
Turns out it was a lesson, not a session. And
how so? How did it become a lesson instead of a session?
Well, I was not a passive receiver.
Okay. You were asking the questions and you were...
Yeah, so the person, he wasn't just working on me. And I was just not like dead and like just not there, you know, just like a massage. When you're a massage, you're just a passive receiver.
Okay.
And then someone is working on you.
Okay.
But in Alexander technique, it's, you know, he is working with me, but he's also having me think about and notice things. So I'm not just zoned out and just, you know, like while he's fixing me, but he is, or the teacher is having you pay attention to how you're moving, paying attention to how he's moving you or the teacher's moving you, and telling me to do certain things. So
he made you part of your healing process.
Yes. And
that's beautiful.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
And I think that's what makes...
This is actually the first time I have actually understood that now.
Yes. It's
wow.
I think that's why I like it so much, because me being a seeker of education, of wanting to understand, and I think that was a way of me always wanting to take some type of control, to have some type of sense of empowerment over the choices and what I wanted, you know, or the help. You know, I think I was feeling helpless because I always needed to go to someone to fix me, to give me the solution, you know.
That someone else had the power instead of you. Yeah.
Right. And so with Alexander technique, it was different. And I didn't know what this was. It was very hard to put into words, but I knew that after that first session, I could move my wrist. And it was like, that just alone, just that, I was like, I need to know more about this.
Yeah.
And so I started taking lessons with him on a weekly basis for the whole year that I was off, deferred from music school. And it was life-changing. And so
it was one of the best years of your life, probably.
it was one of the most life-changing years.
Yeah.
Of my
life. It was
life.
Hard, but probably one of the best.
It was a
because
lot.
It led you to here today.
Yeah, it definitely made me realize and bring awareness as to things that I was doing that was causing me to feel pain. And then knowing that I was gaining the tools to help myself.
Yeah.
Helped my emotional side and my mental side. And because now I felt empowered. I was like, oh, wow, it's not that complicated, or it was, if I do this or that, or if I notice these things, then my arm doesn't hurt. And I feel like before that, pain and injuries are such a mysterious thing, or you have to do surgery, or it's just kind of like,
it's always like those are the answers, but they don't necessarily really take care of the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like that was really, I needed to get to there from everything before. It's like all that was building to get me there.
Right. Were the stepping stones.
Right.
They were the path.
They were the stepping stones.
Even though your path maybe went here, went there.
Right.
But because it's never, as my voice teacher loves to tell me, it's never a straight path.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's literally winding.
Right. Yeah.
So be gentle with yourself and know that you're doing okay. That's what she always tells me. You know?
Yeah.
And that, and she helped me to recognize that.
That's great.
That, that it's not always clearly. You're not just walking a straight line.
No,
and
not.
You're literally like, as long as your path keeps going forward,
Well, sometimes you go back, take a step back, 2 steps forward.
Yes.
Or you may feel like you're taking a step back, but you really are going forward. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so what, please tell the beautiful people out there in the world what you ended up doing that was so life-changing after that year. I know you finished at UM. You went back to UM.
Right. After that year of just working with my Alexander Technique teacher.
Yeah.
Then I went back to UM and I put it to the test. I was like, okay, well, let's just see, does this actually work in, an intense, lots of hours a day, maybe easily 6 hours a day of playing.
Yeah.
And it did. Yeah. And I love music. I love playing, but this interest in the Alexander Technique started building in me. And my teacher told me, he encouraged me actually to study to be a teacher, because I feel like I was born to be a teacher in this life. And I love to teach. I'm very passionate about teaching. And the idea of being able to help others the way my teacher helped me, my Alexander teacher helped me, would be like a dream come true, and the learning never finishes. It's not like, oh, I did Alexander lessons for a year and I'm done, like, no, that was just like, was like the start of it. And like
an introduction.
It was an introduction and an understanding, and sure, it gave me relief, but like, I wanted to see how much can it help me.
Yeah.
And studying to be a teacher was another way of diving deeper to understanding how I was using myself in all ways.
Yeah.
And as a result, I can help people more.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah. So then after that,
what did you do then to do that?
So then there's no schools in Florida at all that you can train to be an Alexander Technique teacher. And so, and I didn't want to, I couldn't just uproot my life, and, there's no scholarship for Alexander School. So I started researching schools that you can, travel back and forth, so I could still live my life here. I could still have my job and my home. And then I would travel once a month for a long weekend. You know, every month for 3.5 years. And so I found a school in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I went to go visit it. And it was the first school, the only school I went to visit. And I loved it. The people were amazing. It was so welcoming. I had never been in that area of the US. And I immediately signed up. Like after my first trip, you know, it was in the summer of 2016. It was like the month right after I graduated UM. I flew to Philly. I went to check out the school. I did the training with them and I was hooked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how many years did it actually take you?
Oh gosh.
You said 3.5 and I'm like, that's not.
Well,
that's not
that's if you go every single month and life happens.
Yes,
you know,
life happens. That's right.
I mean, I didn't have any scholarship or funding to help me pay for it.
You have to pay for the tuition. You have to pay for your plane fare. You have to pay for staying there.
And food and board, everything. Yeah. And so I didn't honestly understand how I was going to come up with that money. I didn't even think about it, but I knew that I had to do this.
Yes.
And at that time I was already on my own. I was renting an apartment. I was paying rent. I was paying my car, you know, just normal life, Miami prices. Yes. But I knew that I had to do this and I just went for it. And then somehow I was making it work. I was able to pay and I worked really hard. I worked my butt off.
Yeah, you did.
Not being in school made it a lot easier.
Of course.
Not
so you were able to teach more, do gigs more.
To gig more,
I remember you were gigging, you were playing with this orchestra or that orchestra, doing weddings. I know that you have, what is the quartet that you perform with now?
Here in Miami?
Yeah.
I play a lot with Baby B strings.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I love the name.
Yeah, it's a great.
That's what I wanted to say.
It's Baby a great quartet. String. Yeah.
If you ever need for a wedding or a special event, they are the ones.
They're
not because you're my friend. They're fantastic. Really, they're fantastic. Check them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so going back and forth.
Right. So I don't know how I did it, but I worked my butt off. I really wanted to make this happen. And a lot of months of the year, sometimes I got sick or I had a gig that I just couldn't say no to because I needed the money.
Yeah.
And I think all the students were kind of in a similar situation. And so whatever month you couldn't come, you had to make up.
Okay.
And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And we went virtual.
Yeah.
The training went virtual. And then.
And how did you like that?
I actually enjoyed it.
You did enjoy it?
Yeah, I think that really made me realize a new facet of my teaching. And I started doing, group classes online and teaching music online. And, of course, it doesn't work for all the students, but personally, I really enjoyed that outlet. And I created a YouTube channel and with tutorials and everything. And, I just really went for it. And I thought it was good for the time, and it is good for certain people.
Okay. Yes.
And I enjoy it as well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. I remember
so
that.
Then to tell you, I remember
actually we did some Zoom
group classes
with Vivi here.
Yeah. It was part of my training.
It was part of her training. I remember I was there in my living room, which is really my piano room, with the yoga mat, and then and she led us through a series of movement and certain, it's really movements as opposed to exercises, but they are AT exercises, and just really making all of us think about how we're going to move before we're going to move. And that is something that is awesome. It's that my head can go anywhere it wants to go, right?
Yeah, it's having an awareness that you have a choice. Again, it comes back to this. That's why I really like it. It makes you aware that you have choices on how you want to do things versus you just do it.
Right.
And then, if it's uncomfortable, oh well, that affects a lot of mental health.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're trapped and you have no choices, you just have to get it done. But no, there's so much more to it, and that's why I like it.
That's amazing.
But going back to your question, it took me 6 years.
Yes.
2016 to 2022, I graduated. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it took a while,
a long
but
journey.
It's a long journey, and
that's sometimes longer than a doctorate. Trying to get a doctorate.
Yeah, I mean, doctorate is what 3-5 years,
something like that, between 3 and 5 years. Yeah, depending on what school of study you're doing.
And what was so great about the training was that I would say almost all the other students were performers.
Oh,
because Alexander Technique is so helpful for performers. I mean, there were some other people. There was someone that was like a barber shop barber.
Okay.
There was also a person that was owned an equestrian center, so worked with horses.
Nice.
But everyone else,
that's beautiful, was
an organist, music professor, singer, dancer, cellist, violinist.
Yeah.
There was guitarists, there were actors, it was all just performers. And it was like it kind of felt like I was back in music school, but in a different way. And it was so fun. And we all would perform for each other, play for each other with
not that music, but I don't know, maybe.
But yeah, we would perform for each other, and it was such a different experience. When you're in music school, it's like you perform and you have your jury, or you have your recital or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's you feel like you're going to be critiqued about whether you were in tune and out of tune. It was all just about sound. Sometimes you would say, talk about you need better stage presence, but that was never really, how do you address that?
Exactly. Right.
But with the Alexander Technique, it was so much more than just the notes that we would receive feedback from our teachers and more seasoned students sharing their ideas. And it was so much more enjoyable for me. And it made music fun again.
Right.
Because
I was laughing because I went through the same thing with voice. I studied opera at the University of Miami, and I have my BM from there. And I also was able to add a musical theater for a while. And it's true. They, maybe with me or with another student, it's like, you need more stage presence, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. But nobody ever taught you how to do it, how to execute that.
Right.
And so when you first started sharing with me about Alexander Technique, to me, it was like having this mind, body, and soul, or energy, body connection. And for me, singing is that now. In the last, I want to say 10, 12 years of my life, I find it to be more of a spiritual experience. It's more of this mind, body, and soul connection. And so Alexander Technique, to me, is like doing that. For anyone who teaches it and practices it, and those of us that are learning it.
Definitely.
And so I think that's why I do gravitate to it. I'm not at the level where you're at, by no means. I don't think I'm going to be going to.
And you know what?
AT
not
school,
everybody,
but it helps me.
Right.
Every day you are in my head, along with my physical therapist. She knows who she is. Yeah. Every day, I have to say, my head can go anywhere it wants to go. My neck and my shoulders can stay soft.
Right. Yes.
Can stay soft.
Yeah.
And I literally go every day. Every day you're in my head every day. and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And so I know that you've been very helpful with me, and I know that you've been helpful with others. And and this Alexander Technique, I know, has changed your life completely. It has brought you to where you are today. And what else do you want to share with us? I mean, you went through a lot in 6 years, going over there in Philly, they have winter. How was winter?
Oh, winter was amazing. I loved it. I mean, being from Miami, you're there for 4 or 5 days, and then you're done. You don't have to deal with shoveling snow or black ice or anything. It was the nice parts of winter, but I really loved it, and it really opened my eyes to seeing a new way of interacting with performers, and a new way, or a broader way, of like being in the arts that I hadn't thought about. So yeah.
So please tell, I know you have shared with me actually recently who created the Alexander technique, but I would love for everybody to know a little bit about that, because I find it so interesting that it was an actor who created this.
Yes.
This just technique of awareness of body
Right.
awareness. It's really about body awareness and energy, and being mindful about how you're going to move.
Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell me again, because I always love hearing this.
I mean, it was created by a Shakespearean actor. His name was Frederick Matthias Alexander, and this was in the late 1800s, and he, being a Shakespearean actor, he started noticing that he was losing his voice when he would perform, and he went to doctors, and the doctors were like, "Oh, no, you just overused your voice. You need to, rest, do some vocal rest, don't speak, for a week or something, and you should be fine." Right. So he would do what the doctors, instructed him, and then he'd go back and try to perform. And then once again, he would lose his voice. And he went back to the doctor, and he was like, "Okay, like, I'm still losing my voice." And then the doctor's like, oh, no, you need to rest even longer. I think you just didn't rest enough. Like, don't use your voice for such and such time, and then you'll be fine. And so that happened.
It sounds like what singers go through.
Yeah, and the same thing with music, like
musicians
I think the traditional.
And actors, this is an actor's and a singer's nightmare, though, not to be able to use their voice.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's the same for musicians. You can't use your hands.
Right.
It's like the nightmare.
So, but I can relate to his experience. Like,
to be told, of course.
You can't.
Yeah, it's scary.
You need to rest more, and so imagine. So he did it, and still.
And so he realized that, the light bulb went off, and he realized that, oh, it must be something I'm doing, because it's happening every time I start performing.
Okay.
And so what he did is he bought a bunch of mirrors, and he put them all around inside his house, so he could see himself in every angle. And he just started watching himself.
That is really
cool. And so he started noticing certain things when he would try to perform. And the main thing that he noticed was that whenever he would, go into performance mode and open his mouth to recite, something would happen to his head. And he noticed that his head would fall back and down. That's how he would, kind of like, imagine that you're just really tired. You just kind of go into a slump. Okay. That, but at a micro level. And it's really amazing that he was able to notice this. And what was happening when his head would kind of, collapse back, it would compress his voice and his larynx.
I think because he was so detailed with the placement of mirrors.
Yeah.
I use mirror technique or mirror method with my students all the time.
Yeah.
Like, just know exactly where's your placement. So that is brilliant. Like, he put a mirror at every angle.
Well, he didn't have internet or Netflix.
No, this is why so impressive.
Yeah.
In the 1800s, like,
right, to be able to, and so he that was really the catalyst, and so that's what really started his journey. Yeah, the Alexander technique.
Yeah, wow. And so what did he do to create the system? Like, the whole, obviously it came from him, so he must have. Did he write a book, or did he just create?
Yes, he wrote books on this, and then he started realizing that he could manipulate. It was just like he could change how his body was organizing by what he was thinking and his level of awareness of his body. And so he came up with these principles of the Alexander technique. So what I really love about the Alexander technique is that, like you said, it's very mind body. And so, you know, there's certain cues that you can tell yourself, just like you said, I can allow my neck to and my shoulders to stay free. So for him, he would think, I'm going to allow my head to free forward and up versus back and down. Okay. So the opposite.
Forward and up.
Forward and up. And
forward and up.
He would think about
forward and up.
Yes, exactly.
Up this way.
Yes. And so
Which I still have a challenge with you.
It's a challenging thing. Like, it is. And it's something that you have to work on over and over and consistently.
I have to use like that vertical spinning energy and expanding space, which actually ties in with Alexander technique philosophy. And that kind of helps me. And I'm still, till this day, working on all that. You know, the body changes. And, and, you know, I mean, to me, from where I'm sitting, your body looks better. And it looks to me like you feel more fit and more healthy than you were even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, my level of mobility in certain ways I couldn't, like I told you, I couldn't even like brush my hair.
No, I mean,
when I was, when I was younger.
But even, you know, they say, oh, you know, what do they say? Youth is wasted on the young, is what a lot of older people say.
Yeah.
Because really you don't appreciate life or have the ability to go and like travel or do this or do that. And then when you really want to have that youth, you know, it's like, you don't have the same, you know, energy that you did when you were young. But I feel like this Alexander technique can actually help people
it's very powerful.
Regain their energy levels.
Yeah, it's very powerful for anti-aging because it really helps you learn to move more freer and easier and as you get older. And the teachers that I've had, they're like in their 70s and they're doing Tai Chi and they're moving like 30-year-olds. And that alone is the greatest advertising. Like just seeing an Alexander teacher who has been doing this work for 30, 40 years, they move better than any of us. And it's just like, okay, whatever you're doing, that's what I want.
I need to get back into
and it's just
something.
It's just so amazing.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's proof alone.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so what would you say, well, I know you've shared with me that you like have seen your older self. Which is so impressive to me. I only had like a vision of me as an old lady in this life when I was very young.
Oh,
but I've never really tapped into the older self of me. But I guess what I want to ask you is, and I bring this up because I wanted to ask you, what would you say to your younger self right now today, after sharing this beautiful journey, right? And what would you say to your older self right now, where you are today? What would you tell your younger self and what would you tell your older self?
I guess I would definitely tell my younger self to be patient and to be kind to yourself. To don't be so hard on yourself. And to my older self, I'm excited to meet you.
That's great. I think that's
I'm
great.
Excited to meet you. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think ever since you shared that with me, I've from time to time I think about, well, what would be who is my older self? Like, what would I tell her? And I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to get older, to be honest.
Are you? You sound like my twin.
I mean, I'm excited for the experiences that I hope I'm fortunate to have.
Yeah.
In this life,
right.
I mean, so I'm grateful and just very thankful if I get those opportunities.
And
So
yeah. And so do you feel that going through everything that you went through, not that I want to get too personal, but do you feel that even those things led you to your wonderful husband, Michael, who is looking and making sure that our video is running throughout this whole, I don't know how long we've been on film, but do you feel like because you went through all of those experiences that it led you to Michael as well?
I think definitely working on myself, and healing my traumas, you know, or I would say working on them and understanding them and learning to love them.
That's wonderfully put. Yes.
Has helped me find Michael. I had a dream of Michael before he came into my life.
Michael. We're looking at Michael now.
I've always told this to Michael. It was a dream, and I knew someone was coming, and it was him. Yeah.
And you had a dream of him, of his vision? You actually saw his face?
No, I didn't see his face, but I remember I was looking through a really murky pond, and I could see things bubbling out of and I kept wanting to look further in. And then all of a sudden, this beautiful brown horse just came out of this murky
I love this. I love this.
Murky water.
Yeah.
And he was just shining and just standing there. And I was like, it was like from all of this darkness and whatever was in there, this like beautiful horse just came out, and I was like just in shock. And I was like, wow, this was unexpected. One that was unexpected, and this was some type of creature or being that just came out of nowhere. And I just had that impression when I woke up. I'm just like, whoa, something's going to happen. Something's coming. And I think like a couple days after.
Oh, wow.
Then Michael showed up.
Quick.
And he has long hair. So,
he has long brown hair.
Let's
be significant. Let's be specific about this. This is how significant that dream was.
Yeah, horses are very companion. They are companions. They're very loyal, you know? So I feel like that was all very symbolic.
It's a very spiritual animal to have a dream of. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I know we're wrapping up to the end of this, and so that's awesome. Yeah. You said something that was very important, that as you worked on yourself and you were able to learn to love your traumas, this is something that is so important, I think. I've never heard anyone say it that way. And so thank you for that, because that really resonated with me. And it is important to love your traumas. It really is important, because it does help you to live with them, and it does help you to heal and forgive, have understanding.
And you know who taught me that? The Brennan Healer.
Wow.
He was very open with his things he had to learn. And he was very, very present as to, like, you know, whenever I do this, or when I feel this, or I go into this, you know, he was very open with his hardships.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just really, really amazing.
That is amazing. Because he shared.
He shared.
You were able to have an understanding, and also
that it's okay to have trauma. You know, it's like we all have it, and it's not about trying to get rid of it, but learning to see it in a different way and accept it and live with it.
That it helped you to connect not only with what he was teaching you and doing, the energy healing that he was doing with you, but also help you to connect with yourself. And so that's beautiful. That's what this is about, actually, is about sharing to hopefully help others in the world, you know, as the sun is going down. So we're going to end our Soul Journey Talk video podcast session with these round cards that I have made myself. There is one word. There are 7 stacks, and you choose a stack, and then you shuffle, and then you can, wherever, you can lay them out on your this cushion here or on the grass or whatever, or pick from the card. And that one word, you tell us what it makes you think of, like right away.
So I shuffle?
Mm-hmm. Shuffle them around. It's all about energy. So when you put your energy on the cards and you're shuffling, you're doing that, and it's not really about thinking about anything. It's just, law of attraction, and then whatever word comes out.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I turn it over?
Yeah, turn it over. What's the word?
Face.
Face. So what does it make you face? That's the word. Face.
I think that's what we were just finishing talking about.
Yes.
That, learning to face your traumas and your hardships, and, just
learning to love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning to love them.
And what a hold this card. That's yours for the next 2 minutes. So that's what this is about. You just proved me right. I knew that was going to happen. So, everyone, thank you. Thank you, Vivi.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being my first guest. Thank you for doing this with me and helping an idea that turned into a little dream and mission, and helping me to execute and actually put into fruition,
action,
and make it alive. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited for your journey.
Thank you. As I am for yours. It continues, and maybe in 5 or 10 years from now, we'll hook up again. Yeah. And we will revisit, where we left off, and then we'll have more things to share, and because life is a journey. And so I hope that this gives you some love, light, truth, and peace, joy, wisdom, and grace, some compassion and empathy and understanding, and forgiveness for yourself, for others, and because that's what our journey has been. And clearly it starts with yourself, as Vivian shared with us. And thank you so much for sitting through this. If you have reached to the end of this video, I just thank you so much. Many extra blessings to you, but extra blessings to everybody. And I hope to come back again in 3 months' time and have another beautiful conversation and of journey, self-discovery with somebody new. So thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Sophia, and this is Soul Journey Talk, and this is our first taping. I forgot to say the date. It is March 23rd, 2025. That's where we're at. It is spring, and we are reaching sunset time in Miami, Florida. And we really are lucky that we live here. We live in paradise. Oh, yeah. So thank you for joining with us, and just casually, sitting back and having a conversation in the backyard. All right. Much love to all of you. Mwah. Bye.